wrap up. I hope everyone is doing well on this Friday afternoon at the top of the 12 o'clock hour. It is 70 degrees in Hattiesburg, and we're finishing up the 16th week of classes. It's very hard to believe. But more than ever, try to always remember to relax and take time to do some fun things with your friends and family, like walking, going to a park, and exercising, especially as finals week is next week. On the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, I talked to leaders from SM2, the Southern Miss Student Media Center. In the Media Center, students have the opportunity to get involved with print, radio, social media, and television to curate stories that are for students and are by students. Now, we're going to take a sponsorship break and hear from Abigail Troth, who is the editor of the Student Prints. Stay tuned.
Students need to learn about Mississippi rhythm and blues composers and songs. Sundays from noon until 2 on Southern Miss Radio is when we play great rhythm and blues, particularly Mississippi Delta blues. Our audience is hearing history. This is Don Rodney Radio Vaughn, a USM alumnus. I never dreamed I'd have the opportunity to teach on the radio, but I do. Please join me this Sunday, starting at noon, right here on WUSM.
If you or your business is interested in sponsoring programming on WUSM, we'd love to talk to you about the benefits and opportunities. You can get recognition for your business as well as the appreciation of the WUSM audience. The audience realizes your support provides the programming they listen to daily. In addition, our sponsorship rates are very cost-effective and tax-deductible. To learn more, call 601-266-4287.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ed Simpson, Director of the School of Media and Communication at USM. Join me on Southern Miss Radio Friday afternoons at 12:30 for a new show, News You Need. On News You Need, USM students will discuss current events and why those events are important to them. Listen in on how the future citizens of the U.S. consider news and how those news events affect their lives. Join me for News You Need, Fridays at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio. News You Need is brought to you by the generosity of Partners for the Arts. Partners for the Arts raises money to enhance the budgets of the arts programs here at Southern Miss. You can show your support for the arts by becoming an active partner and visiting www.usm.edu/arts.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We have Abigail Troth, who is the editor of the Student Prints, with us today. Hi, Abigail.
Hi, Kelsey. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm tired, but I'm great.
Yeah, I heard that sigh. That sounded like you were a little tired.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to have you in the studio with us for our last show.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I didn't say that in our intro, but listeners, it is our last show of the semester.
Oh.
I know. Pretty sad. But anyway, so obviously the Student Prints is done for the semester.
Yes.
But for our last show, I was wondering if you could just talk about your recap of the whole year. So fall semester of last year and spring semester, the one we're in now, for the Student Prints.
Well, it was my first time doing like an entire year of work here. And this is only my first semester being in a leadership position, but it was a very rewarding experience overall, like throughout the entire year. I mean, it was crazy, and I'm not even gonna lie, like it was hectic, it was busy, so much happened that probably shouldn't have happened, but we're over it, it's done, and we move forward. And I think that this year we had a lot of great content that we put out. I mean, we got a lot of awards this year, and that's one thing that I'm very proud of, but it's not even about the awards, it's more so that we had a lot of great journalists and a lot of great reporters come in, whether it be new or whether it's people who had been here before, who just worked so incredibly hard. And just, I'm really proud of all the content that we put out this year. I mean, covering the welfare scandal, sports, I mean, there's the protest, the provost, that's one of our newer stories, but it was something that was very massive, and it's still going on. And I'm very proud of everything that we put out this year.
And I think you should be.
Yeah.
I think everyone did some really great work, including a lot of great investigative journalism.
Yes.
Especially with the provost, Lance Nail, the candidate. You know, I was very pleased to follow work. I wanted to go back to something that you said earlier when you began talking about this kind of being your first, or last semester being your first kind of foray into a leadership position. How did you approach being editor of the Student Prince when you first got the position?
Well, I kind of had a little bit of experience with it. Not like I thought I did, though, but last semester I had to step up in the position, so like towards the end because some changes were made, and I got a kind of feel of what the editor did. But this semester, you know, we went into this year and we changed how we did the paper, we changed how we did the shows. I mean, we did the every other week production layout, and that was entirely new, and that was something that we had to adapt to. But I approached it with this mindset of I just want it to be that, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this, but I didn't want anyone to see me as above them or that I was trying to act better than anybody, because I'm not. I'm learning, we're all students, and that I still make mistakes, they still make mistakes, and that we're all just in a learning process. I mean, I see this job as a way to get experience for what we're going to do in our careers. Like, yes, it's a very rewarding thing here at SM2, but for me, I'm here because I want to learn journalism, basically, so I can know what to do when I graduate and I go into the field. And I approached it with that mindset of this is a learning experience for everybody.
And I think that's a great approach to have, because as someone who is also in a leadership position in the media center, I also take that approach of making sure the people I work with know that we're equals at the end of the day. Like, we're all students. I, am in this leadership position, but we all have to work together to
Right.
create a product that we're all proud of.
Exactly.
And as you said earlier, you're very proud of the products that you and your team have created this semester and last semester. And I think that shows in the way that you can help to guide others, not necessarily lead them per se, is what
Right.
I'm gathering.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Abigail, for speaking with me and for being a guest every week on this
course.
show. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, I enjoyed being on it, and I wish you the best in all that you do, Kelsey.
Likewise for you too. Now we're going to hear Nathan Lee report on college students and mental health issues. Let's hear it.
Mental health has come to the forefront of issues that plague the world today, and people are starting to take notice. We have recently seen prominent figures like Selena Gomez, Ryan Reynolds, and even Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson come out discussing mental health problems they have faced in their lives. This shows that anyone can be battling mental health issues at any point of their lives, no matter the fame or money. Right now, one group of people that face some of the most mental health issues is college students. According to Mayo Clinic Health, up to 44% of college students have reported symptoms of depression and anxiety. Another Mayo Clinic statistic shows that as many as 75% of students who struggle with depression and anxiety are reluctant to seek help. This raises the question to why a high percentage of college students are facing mental health problems and what are the causes for these issues. Southern Miss student Jane Claire Fort talks about her battle with anxiety and how other people may feel that are dealing with similar problems.
I feel like it's very much still stigmatized, and especially in the South. I know I grew up in a family that was like, if you're struggling, we don't talk about it, we face it, and we get over it. And that was the game plan. And I felt very extremely isolated, and I felt like I was the only person in this world that was struggling really bad with my mental health. And I think that's something a lot of people face, because when you're going through those bouts of anxiety and depression and that panic-ridden feeling all the time, you feel like it's so difficult to do everyday tasks.
Southern Miss students like Fort are starting to come out in droves to talk about their own issues and how the university did or did not help them. Some similar mental health issues that college students deal with are depression, anxiety, suicide ideation and intent, eating disorders, and substance misuse. In a 2021 Healthy Mind study, 22% of college students screened positive for major depression and 41% screened positive for depression overall. Students at the University of Southern Miss have given mixed reviews on the results from the university's Student Counseling Services and Center of Behavioral Health. Fort talks about how the university helped her on her journey.
Like I said earlier, they were really great with working with me with my schedule, but I think that's really all they contributed, which was great. Like, I really needed to be online at the time, but I think kind of offering and talking about the services USM has more, to me, would have probably been more beneficial. because at the time I didn't really know any of the counseling services, options that were available, and those really weren't communicated with me. So I think broadcasting that more would have been more beneficial during that period of my life.
Fort's experience is different than other students that attended Southern Miss, as former student Rosemary Pinella talks about how the Center of Behavioral Health helped her tremendously.
So the behavioral health clinic, in no uncertain terms, quite literally saved my life. My therapist at the time really picked me up off the ground. There was a lot of good communication, and she was somebody I felt like I could be really honest about what was going on in my life and everything.
The Center of Behavioral Health helped Pinella get back on her feet as well after she got out of her mental health crisis. These cases show the wide variety of help the university can bring, but why are students still dealing with these issues? In a study from Frontiers in Public Health, it indicates some of the most common factors to why college students are struggling with their mental health. These factors are academic, social, psychological, lifestyle, and physiobiological/genetic factors. While students can face all of these causes in college, academic stress and the frightening reality of taking on more adult-like responsibilities are some of the most common among students. Southern Miss student John Benet Kepper talks about the struggles of juggling all aspects of college.
In my head, I'm thinking, I don't have a break, and I have this so-called academic guilt, I guess you could say, because in my head I'm thinking, you have this assignment to do, and then a test as soon as you come back from break on Monday. So there was just no rest mentally, maybe physically, but not so much mentally.
Students like Kepper exist all around campus, not knowing how to deal with these thoughts. In a survey conducted by the National Alliance of mental health issues caused 64% of students to drop out and not pursue their degrees. The study also revealed that 50% of students that dropped out did not access mental health services. While you can correlate many things as a cause of mental health problems, one thing that universally does not improve mental health illness is the reluctance of getting help. Fort once again talks about her experience and why she thinks some people are unwilling to get help.
So I think a lot of students struggle with, one, talking about it because we feel like a lot of people don't understand. But what I've learned through the past couple of years is that pretty much everyone has a struggle, whether it's mental, physical, whatever it may be. While we're not all similar in those struggles, we can relate to each other.
Understanding that you are not the only one dealing with problems is becoming a more consistent feeling among students at Southern Miss. Still, there are students and people everywhere that will not be able to relate to that feeling due to the stigma that followed mental health for years. Now, though, people are starting to break from that mold and are unafraid to express their feelings to others if that can help them. Pushing this narrative can set an example for the youth and people that do not know how to counter mental illness. Students like Rosemary Pinella and Jane Claire Fort are some that can say they have been through the worst times, but still recognize that mental health is a marathon, not a sprint.
I think I've come a really long way, but it's never something that comes to an end. It's always continuous.
I'm Nathan Lee, USM Reports.
Thanks, Nathan. Now we're going to do something a little bit differently on our show, and we're going to have two interviewees in the same segment. And listeners who listen to this show are probably familiar with these interviewees. We have Charlie Luttrell, who is the executive producer for the 4th Street Sports Show, and Garrett Grove, who is the executive producer for SMTV with us.
Hello. Happy Friday.
Hola. Happy Friday. Hola.
Oh, yeah. Cinco de Mayo.
It is
It
Cinco de
is,
Mayo.
yeah. I see what you did there.
Tacos later.
So I just want, like Abigail, to hear you all's thoughts on your respective entities, like your recaps for SMTV and 4th Street for this semester and last semester.
Oh, okay. It's been wild. It's crazy that we're already here. It feels just like we started in some respects, but we have done a lot. I was actually crunching some numbers last night. We did over 47 hours of content just for the podcast. That doesn't include all the articles, photos, videos we were putting on YouTube too. So just seeing that, always seeing that at the end of the year is cool. But also just we had a fun time doing it too. So it is kind of sad reflecting on it. We're having our final episode this Monday, and we're just going to kind of pay respect to everything that we did, all the guests we had on, and all the people that helped us, because 4 or 5 of us are graduating. So a lot of respects. It is the end of 4th Street at this era, but there's going to be a new generation coming next year, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, and just, to kind of add on to that, in my mind, I'm just kind of playing a little violin just because it's kind of sad to see that happen, but ultimately, I'll say that what's really interesting about what we have going on, not only just 4th Street Sports Show, but SMTV, it's just awesome to kind of see the progression with leadership as well as the progression of content.
Yeah.
This year, kind of like what Abigail was saying, we had to kind of start off the semester on a reduced schedule just because as related to things we were doing for SMTV, we had a smaller staff, we couldn't get in as much content, so ultimately we had to adapt. We had to scale back, which was unfortunate, but it was something that was needed for the success of really this production. And so with that, even though it was on a smaller scale, I feel like we had really strong content, definitely a lot of hard-hitting stories, and a lot of things that I think I, as well as everybody else associated with SMTV, can be proud of.
I agree, and like with the student prints, I've done engineering for 4th Street. And
Yeah,
it was
thank
so,
you.
Yeah.
You will be thanked on our on our episode.
Well, I didn't bring that up to be like, hey, give me
Yeah.
my flowers.
Right.
But I just brought that up to say, just being behind the board and kind of seeing live the work that you and your co-hosts were doing was an amazing experience.
Thank you.
And I was introduced to guests that I had never heard of, so I got to learn a little bit more about them through you all. And with SMTV, I got to check out episodes and seeing people I knew from the school be on, like, Jaterica and Sethany, and just see the work that everyone was doing, and you, Garrett, as well, on the air. It was nice it's just nice in general to be proud of my peers. And, of course, you all got awards, too, and that's nice. Well-deserved.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. It means a lot.
Yeah, bringing tears to my eyes.
Oh, no, that was not that was not the
Not
goal.
yet, not yet.
Is there anything else you all, want to kind of add? Or
I just want to say, Garrett brought it up, but, you got guys like Carter and SMTV who are going to still be here. They're growing, too. We've got Dima. We got new people. We just, there's people who are growing, who are going to still be here and hold what we've been building on and build on it themselves, and they're doing a great job of it already. So I just want to say we were proud of guys getting in on our show and learning it. Like Dima carried us sometimes.
awesome.
And for SMTV, I know they got some young prospects they're proud of too.
Oh yeah, I would definitely agree with that. You brought up Carter, and I would just have to completely just concur with that sentiment, because really he's really showed a level of just devotion as well as just passion for SMTV, as well as just SM2 in general. So to say that he was the best choice to be next year's executive producer, right, was definitely something that is maybe the understatement of the century. So with Carter, as well as content producers who are going to still be here next year, like Jaterica, things of that nature, as well as just people who are behind the scenes, we're in a really good position. I must admit, it does kind of feel bittersweet leaving, but at the same time, I know, like Dennis Haysbert says on the Allstate commercials, we're in good hands.
What a great way to end. No, we're not sponsored. But what a great way to end this segment. Thanks, Garrett and Charlie, for being on. And listeners, Garrett and Charlie will actually be on after we hear Heaven Brown's report on staffing at USM Student Counseling Center before some sponsorship messages. You're listening to the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up. Stay tuned.
According to the university website, there are 5 mental wellness counselors and 4 staff members working at the Student Counseling Center at USM. There's an estimated 1,100 students that see SCS counselors yearly. If you do the math, that's around 220 students per counselor. Heidi Nelson, the Director of Student Counseling Services, declined an on-camera interview mainly due to staffing issues within SCS. She declined to answer if she felt the university provided enough resources for her office. In an email reply, Nelson said, quote,
Our scope of service is on par with most college campuses where we deliver both individual and group therapies along with crisis intervention and referrals. Though having more than 5 wellness counselors on SES staff is desirable for assistant directors like Amanda Kirtland.
I think it'd be great to have more. I think that, the more staff we have, the more we would have a chance to serve more students. I think that we have been able to do a lot with who we do have on staff, but certainly I think it'd be beneficial to have more staff.
In any case, workloads like these are stressful for many, like former SES counselor Casey Johnson.
I think a lot of clinicians would say that, that it does get stressful and overwhelming managing things like on-call and higher incidents of safety concerns on their caseload.
William Clark is a senior psychology major. He started as an engineering major, but changed his career path to psychology as the need for more mental health professionals became apparent during the pandemic. He sees the need for more resources within SES.
I'd say overall it has been good, but it could be better. I think that obviously we could use more staff members.
But according to SES officials like Amanda Kirtland, counseling services are already operating efficiently.
According to SES officials, there is no wait list.
I've been with the center for just shy of 7 years, and I don't think we've been on a wait list since 2017.
At first, I was kind of discouraged because I heard they had a wait list and that the wait list could take months at a time.
The expectation of delays in mental health services is a barrier for many students. For those like Asa and Pika, hearsay caused them to not seek services until this semester. They received correspondence from SES within 1 week of requesting counseling.
And then this semester, I actually reached out and I realized it wasn't as difficult as they made it seem.
John Benet Kepper is pursuing her second bachelor's in an accelerated nursing program. She used SES during her first stint as an undergrad. Kepper believes that more visibility and promotion could help students know about resources on campus.
Being out in the community more would be a thing that would help more students feel more comfortable seeking help and learning more information about what resources they have to offer.
Kepper remarks how much counseling has equipped her to manage her mental health.
Even if I hit a moment where I'm in a low again, I know how to better help myself, and I don't feel as negatively towards going to counseling and feeling bad about it.
Even in Johnson's private practice, he makes a concerted effort to direct students to free resources.
I make it a point to refer those people back to campus because, one of the biggest stressors for students is finances, and if they can access free counseling services, that's a big deal.
Students can reach out to SES in 3 ways. They can call them, they can email them, or they can complete a form online.
Other resources on campus have also filled in the gap at USM. The Center for Behavioral Health and the Center for Family Therapy are similar counseling services available to the USM community. Heaven Brown, USM reports.
Sponsorship comes from American Graphics. Located at 8 Commercial Warehouse Drive in Hattiesburg, American Graphics provides custom screen printing and embroidery. They can be reached by phone at 601-602-2277. And the website is goamericangraphics.com. American Graphics, printing at its finest. Join Southern Miss Radio on Sunday mornings from 6 a.m. till noon for Sunday brunch. You'll get jazz and swing music from artists as wide-ranging as Bix Beiderbecke to Brad Mehldau. From Dippermouth himself to Esperanza Spalding. But relax, you don't need to know anything about the music to enjoy it. It's a great way to wake up on Sunday morning. Sunday brunch from 6 a.m. until noon on Southern Miss Radio. When you or your business sponsors programming on WUSM, you are getting more than recognition for your product. You are also gaining the appreciation of our audience who understands that your sponsorship provides their favorite programming. And research shows that the audience is more likely to patronize your business, too. In addition, the cost of sponsoring programming on WUSM is tax deductible. To learn more, call 601-266-4287.
Yo, it's Smooth Oz.
And Charlie from the 4th Street Sports Show.
And we are psyched for our second year covering Southern Miss Athletics, and we have some new faces joining too.
Join us every Monday at 5 p.m. to hear from myself and Smooth Oz, as well as Dima, Jackson, and Nathan.
88.5 is the place to be on Mondays at 5.
Hey everyone, we're back with the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, and we have Charlie Luttrell and Garrett Grove still with us. And this time around, they'll be talking about their capstone project that they did, about 2 weeks ago?
Was it?
You know,
or was it last week?
It was technically last week, but it feels like 2
yeah,
months
it does
ago at
feel
this
like
point.
it does feel a long time ago.
Right, I'm the one asking the questions. They just stared at me like,
no,
Kelsey,
no.
what are you gonna say?
You're good.
How do you all feel? It's over.
It is over. That's the good thing.
Yeah, I will admit that at certain points it was hard to get some information, though admittedly that was an obstacle that last year's capstone also dealt with, but at the end of the day, I'm really satisfied with the production quality, and I feel like my fellow colleagues, Charlie being among them, really did a great job with just producing content for this capstone project overall. And in case the listeners who are listening to the show don't know, our capstone project was basically about mental health, resources on campus, and the local community, just mental health, just in general, things of that nature. And like, our class was divided into groups, and we tackled those facets of mental health in separate packages and separate print stories, things of that nature.
Yeah, definitely does feel good to be over, just because it's rewarding, you know, to after all the work, to see the final product and seeing it at the premiere. Thank everybody who came to the premiere, but seeing it at the premiere, you know, I was satisfied with the final product. There's definitely things that we wish we could have done and added to, but within the context of, you know, finishing it in a semester, I feel like we raised some very important, you know, topics of discussion for mental health services on campus and around the community, and it's always good to kind of raise that discussion up, because it's a very important topic, especially within, you know, colleges. So I was satisfied with the end product, and it was definitely an experience, you know, working with a big group like that. Last year the capstone was only, I believe, 9 people. This year it was 20 people. So we had to work with smaller groups and then organize, communicate of how we were going to finish the final product. So quite the task.
So what did each of you contribute to the final group project?
So like Gary was saying, we were all into different groups. So we had, I think, 5 groups? Yeah, 5 groups. Yeah. So Garrett's group was campus resources, and I was specifically cost of mental health services. So we had 4 or 5 people in each of our subgroups, and we were each working on those topics. So finding interviews related to that, but we were also sharing information too, of because you could ask mental health professionals those questions, and they relate to all the topics. So we were going out and interviewing probably altogether over 20 people, I would say. So, you know, information going all around everywhere, and then each subgroup kind of had their leader, you know, person that was kind of narrowing down that information, and then you had people helping with editing and all sorts of that stuff.
And the website too,
yeah, the
right?
website and social media too, with graphics, all of that jazz included.
Mm-hmm.
And just to kind of add on to that, in terms of those second group of teams, they were larger groups, still comprised of students within the class, but most people were not in the same group that they were in for the individual topics. So we had 3 groups. One was over the production of the actual episode, one was over social media, and the third one was for the website. Charlie was over social media. I was not the lead for the website, but I was one of the team members that were assisting in the development of the website. And ultimately, that kind of came together to make sure that, hey, we have a website where everybody can access these stories and access stuff after the premiere. And we had social media that said, hey, we're trying to hype this up. We want people to come to the premiere. We want people to know about what we did this semester. And of course, with the production team, you know, kind of filming everything, making sure that the editing is on point, making sure that what the final product looks like, especially in the context of not only, you know, the sort of anchor reads that Kyra Lampley did, but also the packages that the groups make, that all looked good and it all meshed well together.
So what were you all's biggest takeaways from this project? Because I know you all probably have some thoughts and some info that you all have gathered from doing your research.
I would say, you know, it takes a lot of work to pull something off like that, and that sounds basic, but it was, you know, looking in hindsight, more preparation, more research, and acting on it would have been useful for the project. But it was just a good experience, to get experience of working with a big group like that on such a big topic and seeing how each group can tackle different things and it all come together at the end.
Of course, when I say this, it might sound facetious, but there's definitely a lot of truth in it, is the importance of not procrastinating,
Yes.
right? That's something that, unfortunately, we dealt with not only our group projects, but our individual projects. Me, but that's a whole other story. Ultimately, though, I'll say this. I think with kind of just structuring a group project, it's something that is endemic of what we'll be doing kind of as we get in the field. With journalism in general, no one's kind of in their sort of silo. It's a sort of group effort. You have to work with different parts, different people, on production, on social media, on digital, things of that nature. So it, in many ways, is kind of an experience of kind of working with the many different facets of what you would experience in a newsroom. And this is particularly helpful because many of the students within the capstone class, they either A, don't have a lot of experience dealing with that, say in the realm of having internships or working with student media, or B, they don't have any experience at all with that. They just were accustomed to, hey, I make my podcast for this class, I make my broadcast story for this class, I make my print story for this class, and that's it. But sort of integrating, like, hey, being on a team, working with people with different roles, that was something that I think was helpful for everybody, not just people who haven't done it before, but people who have been doing it for a while.
Well, thank you so much, Garrett and Charlie, for that insight, and congratulations again on a great project.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And that's it for today's show, everyone. I want to give a big shout out to our guests, Abigail Troth, Garrett Grove, and Charlie Luttrell, and also to our audio engineer, Matthew Lee, and video producer, Devontae Anthony, for helping out. I also want to thank the manager of the station, Dr. Wilbur Martin, for keeping us on track every week. And thank you all listeners for being along with us for a great show this semester, and take care.
This has been the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up. A look at the events Southern Miss Student Media has covered throughout the week and the events Southern Miss Student Media is working